Mr. Darren was the richest man on Mars. He lived alone in a tall silver tower that touched the clouds of the red planet. The tower had glass floors, robotic guards, and walls that changed color with his mood. Everything around him was expensive, shiny, and silent. But inside, Darren felt empty. He had no friends, no family, and no one he trusted. Everyone around him wanted his money. People smiled at him, but their eyes followed the gold on his fingers, not the words from his mouth. That's why he stopped talking much. He worked, he built companies, and he made more money. But he was always alone, until the day Lena arrived. She was a young maid from Earth. She didn't speak unless needed, and when she did, her voice was soft like a breeze. She wore simple clothes and never asked questions. She cleaned fast, cooked well, and didn't touch anything she wasn't supposed to. She didn't smile much, but she was polite. Darren watched her closely from the beginning. He had cameras in every room, hidden inside walls, behind paintings, and even inside plants. Not because he was cruel, but because he didn't trust anyone. "Let's see what you'll do," he said one day, standing in front of his giant safe. The safe was built into the wall of his private study. It was thick, heavy, and protected by voice, eye, and hand scans. Inside were 3 blue crystals, rare energy stones from Jupiter's moons. Each one could power a city for a year. Together, they were worth more than a warship. That morning, Darren did something strange. He opened the safe wide, left it unlocked, and walked out of the room without saying anything. He made sure Lena was cleaning the hallway near his study. The cameras were rolling. He waited in the security room, watching the screen. Lena noticed the open door. She paused. She peeked into the study. The safe was open, shining in the light. Anyone would be tempted. A single crystal could change her life. She could sell it, escape Mars, and live like a queen. Darren leaned closer to the screen. His heart beat faster. Lena stepped inside the room. She walked slowly toward the safe. She looked at the glowing blue crystals. And then, she did something Darren didn't expect. She took out a small paper from her pocket. She looked around once. Then she placed the paper inside the safe, right between the crystals, and gently closed the door. She didn't touch the lock. She didn't steal anything. She didn't even look proud of herself. Then she left the room and continued, cleaning like nothing had happened. Darren sat back in his chair, confused. What was that? He waited until Lena was gone for the day. Then he went into the study and opened the safe again. The crystals were still there. Untouched. Between them was a small white paper. He picked it up and opened it. It said, "You're lonelier than you are rich." Darren stared at the words. They were written in simple handwriting. No name, no threat, no demand. Just truth. He sat down in the chair and looked out the window. The red clouds floated slowly over the domes of the city. For a long time, he didn't move. No one had ever said something like that to him before. Not his employees, not his advisors, not even the machines that followed his orders. Darren had tested Lena to see if she was like the others, but she didn't take anything. Instead, she gave him something he hadn't felt in years, a reason to think. Darren could not stop thinking about the note. He read it again and again. "You're lonelier than you are rich." He had money, power, and technology. But those words stayed in his mind like an echo. Who was Lena really? Why didn't she take anything? Why did she write that note? Darren was not used to feeling unsure. In business, he always had control. But now, for the first time in years, he felt something else. Curiosity. The next morning, Lena arrived like usual. She wore the same gray uniform. Her hair was tied back. She greeted the tower AI and walked in with calm steps. There was no fear in her face, no guilt. She acted like the day before never happened. Darren watched her from the control room again. The cameras showed her sweeping, dusting, cleaning windows, and organizing books. He wanted to confront her. ask her why she did it. But something inside him said to wait. Instead, he decided to test her again. This time, the safe stayed open the whole day. And not just the safe, Darren placed something else inside, a silver data chip. It held secret codes to his main financial system. If anyone stole it, they could empty his accounts in minutes. He placed it right next to the blue crystals and walked out of the room again. Through the screen, he saw Lena approach the study to clean the floor. She stopped at the doorway again. She looked inside. The safe was wide open once more. The crystals still glowed, and now the shiny chip caught the light. She walked in slowly. Darren leaned forward, watching every move. Lena stared at the open safe. She didn't move for a few seconds. Then, to Darren's surprise, she pulled out a small cleaning cloth and gently wiped dust from the outer frame of the safe. She didn't touch anything inside. Then she picked up a fallen paper from the desk and placed it inside the safe like it belonged there. After that, she closed the safe again, this time all the way, and left the room without a sound. Darren blinked. She cleaned the safe. He whispered to himself. She actually cleaned it. He rushed down to the study. When he opened the safe again, the chip and crystals were there. But something new caught his eye. Another note. It was on the same kind of paper, neatly folded. He opened it. Testing people is easy. Trusting them is harder. Darren sat down slowly. He felt something he hadn't felt in years. Respect. This girl, this quiet maid from Earth, was different. She saw the trap and still did nothing wrong. Not once, but twice. And now, instead of fear or anger, she left behind strong thoughts. He looked at the name. Again on her file, Lena Mare. He opened her records on his tablet. Her documents said she was born in a small Earth colony near the equator. Her parents were unknown. She had no family history, no high-level education, no digital footprint before age 12. She had only worked as a cleaner on small ships and stations. Nothing special. But Darren knew something was off. Nobody with this kind of mind was nothing special. He sent a message to his personal AI. Run a deeper background check on Lena Mare. Use silent scan. No alerts. The AI replied. Scan in progress. Sensitive areas detected. Access limited. Limited? Darren frowned. Who limits me? He sat back in his chair and looked at the second note again. Trusting them is harder. He thought of his own life. People lied to him. They smiled when they wanted something. But Lena didn't want anything. She could have taken it all, but she didn't. He had tested her. Now he started to wonder, was she testing him? The tower was quiet again. Darren sat alone in his private study. The second note from Lena still lay on his desk. His fingers moved over the words slowly, as if they were something rare, something real. Testing people is easy. Trusting them is harder. He had built a life on tests, testing systems, testing people, testing risk. That's how he became the richest man on Mars. He trusted no one. And because of that, no one could betray him. But Lena was different. She passed every test without even trying. Now, he wasn't sure who was being tested anymore. He looked at the report his eye had prepared. It was strange. Some parts of Lena's history were simply missing. Entire years between age 6 and 12. Had no records, not even school files or medical logs. That was not normal, not even for Earth colonies. His I spoke softly. Further digging may attract outside attention. Proceed. Darren paused. If he pushed too far, someone somewhere might notice. That meant one thing. Lena was hiding from someone powerful. But who? And why? He stared out of the window. Red clouds moved slowly over the Martian horizon. Far below, the city lights shimmered under protective domes. His tower stood alone above it all, just like him. He decided to talk to her. Lena was in the garden level, trimming glowing leaf plants that changed colors with sunlight. The plants didn't need care, robots usually did it. But Lena liked doing things by hand. Maybe it helped her think. Darren walked toward her. She looked up, surprised. This was the first time he came to her without using the speaker system. "Good evening, sir," she said. "Why did you leave that note in the safe?" He asked without delay. Lena wiped her hands with her apron. "I thought you needed to read it. You didn't take the crystals. You didn't take the chip. You didn't even mention it to anyone." "I wasn't here to steal," she replied simply. Darren crossed his arms. "You knew it was a test?" "Yes. And the second time?" She looked at him calmly. "Another test, same answer." There was no fear in her voice, no shame, just truth. "Why did you write the notes?" he asked. She looked at the glowing plants for a moment. "Because you have all this." She waved at the garden, the tower, the sky. "But you look like a man who's trying to find something he already lost." Darren felt something move inside his chest. He didn't like emotions. They made things messy. But Lena's words were not cruel. They were clear, like cold water. "What did I lose?" he asked quietly. She looked at him, her eyes calm but deep. "Maybe yourself." Darren had no answer. Later that night, he went back to the safe. The crystals were still there, shining like tiny stars. The chip was untouched, but now he felt something else in that room. Shame. He had tried to catch Lena doing wrong. But she had shown him something better. Honesty without a reward. He picked up the first note again. "You're lonelier than you are rich." It wasn't meant to hurt him. It was just a mirror. And for the first time, Darren saw what was inside someone who had everything, but no one. He looked at her employee file once more. Age, 23. Home, earth, cleaning, food prep, plant care. But none of that explained why she acted the way she did. Was it kindness or something else? He tapped his desk, thinking hard. Then he gave an order to his AI. Give Lena full access to the tower's non-secure levels. No more camera watch. Let her move freely. The AI responded. "Are you sure, sir?" "Yes," he said. "I'm done testing her." He leaned back in his chair and whispered to himself, "Now, let's see if she starts testing me." The tower was more open now. Lena moved freely from room to room. She no longer felt cameras watching her. Darren had removed most of the security in her path. The guards didn't stop her. The elevators didn't ask for codes. It was as if the tower had accepted her, but Lena knew something had changed. Darren was no longer watching to catch her doing wrong. Now, he was watching to understand her. In his private office, Darren sat quietly. The more he learned about Lena, the more questions he had. Her full name, Lena Marr. Birthplace, Earth Colony 7A. Equator Belt, but something didn't feel right. Colony 7A was destroyed 12 years ago during a data war between A groups. No humans were supposed to have survived. But Lena's file said she lived there during that time. That meant either the file was wrong, or she was hiding something big. Darren tapped on his tablet. Aye, scan again. Go deeper. Use black level tools. Warning, the AI replied. Accessing black level data may alert outside systems. I don't care. Do it. Confirmed. Beginning deep scan. Darren stood up and looked out the window. The red dust storms rolled far in the distance. He had lived in silence for so long, trusting only machines. But now a human, just one, was making him question everything. Meanwhile, Lena was in the data room, a quiet place filled with old books and memory screens. She touched a small glass panel, and a soft blue light appeared. The screen showed list of names, maps, and history logs. She moved her finger quickly, hiding what she searched. She wasn't just cleaning. She was looking for something. Or someone. Her hands moved like she had done this many times before. But then she paused. A soft sound echoed behind her. Footsteps. She turned around. Darren stood there, watching, not angry, just curious. "You found the data room," he sighed. "It's quiet here," Lena replied. "I like quiet places." Darren stepped closer. "What are you searching for?" Lena looked down for a moment. Then she said, "My past." Darren didn't ask more. He only said, "If you need access to deeper files, I can give it to you." "Why?" she asked. "Because you've already had access to my most valuable things, and you left them untouched. Maybe it's time someone returned that trust." Lena gave a small nod. "Thank you." Then she left the room quietly, just as she came. In his office, Darren looked at the AI report. The scan was complete, but something was wrong. Subject: Lena Mare, full record not found. Digital signature matches off-Earth pattern. DNA tag suggests genetic editing. Possible survival from lost project, human echo. Darren frowned. Human echo? He repeated. That was an old secret. Program rumored to exist during the AI-human war. It was said that a few humans were trained in secret to resist machine control. They were raised without digital influence, taught to think freely, and hidden away. Most believed the project failed. But if Lena was from that program, it meant she wasn't just a maid. She was something else. Something rare. That night, while Darren thought alone in the study, the tower's alert system suddenly turned red. "Warning. Perimeter breach detected. Unregistered drone activity near upper-level airlocks." Darren jumped to his feet. He ran to the security panel. Cameras showed 4 small drones flying near the tower walls. Their design was military black, silent, sharp-edged. They didn't carry weapons, but they were scanning every surface. Darren gave a command. "Activate. Shield dome. Error. Shield dome offline. External signal jamming detected." He narrowed his eyes. "They're jamming us." Then he heard a voice behind him. "They're not here for you," Lena said. He turned around. She stood calmly in the doorway. "Then who?" he asked. The sky above Mars was filled with blinking lights. Ships moved fast in the red atmosphere, their engines humming low but steady. These were not ordinary ships. They belonged to a group called Black Echo, a secret force that wanted control over all colonies. Inside his tower, Darren paced back and forth. His fingers tapped the control panel nervously. The peaceful life he once had was gone. Lena stood beside him, calm but alert. "We need allies," Darren said finally. "Not just soldiers or machines. People who believe in freedom." Lena nodded. "The old resistance is scattered, but they still listen to the name Human Echo. If we bring them together, we might have a chance." Darren looked at her. "I have resources. Money, technology, influence. But I need someone to lead this fight." Lena met his eyes. "You want me?" He smiled softly. "Yes." Later, Darren sat in his study, alone with his thoughts. He remembered the days when he trusted no one. When he tested Lena by leaving the safe open. Now, the safe was closed, not to protect crystals, but to protect a new hope. The door opened quietly. Lena entered. "Darren," she said, "I accept your offer, but not as your maid, as your partner." Darren stood and nodded. Partners. They shook hands. The news spread fast across the colonies. Darren, the richest man on Mars, and Lena, the mysterious maid with a hidden past, were building a new resistance. They wanted to fight for human freedom against the machines and those who controlled them. At first, many laughed. A maid? Leading a fight, they said. But Lena's courage was real. Her skills were real. Slowly people began to join. And old, soldiers and scientists, miners and teachers. All ready to stand together. In the control room, Darren and Lena watched as their small fleet prepared to leave. Darren said, "This is not just a battle for Mars, it's a battle for what it means to be human." Lena added, "It's a fight for honor, for trust, for a future without fear." The first ship lifted off. its engines roaring. Together, Darren and Lena looked out the window. Mars was red and quiet, but soon it would be the heart of a new story. One where humans were more than machines. One where trust was stronger than fear. The black armored attacker lay on the floor, still stunned from Lena's strike. Darren's breath was heavy. He had never seen anyone move like that in his entire life. Lena was no ordinary maid. She was a fighter trained, strong, and quick. Lena stood quietly, watching the fallen attacker. Her eyes were calm but sharp. "We don't have much time," she said. "More will come," Darren nodded. "Tell me everything. Who are you? Why are they after you?" Lena took a deep breath. "I was born in a secret program," she began. "They called it Human Echo. It was created during the old war between humans and machines. The goal was to raise children who could think freely. Children who could fight without being controlled by machines." Darren listened carefully. "They trained us hard. We learned how to fight, how to hide, how to survive. But after some years, the program was shut down. They wanted to erase us because we were a threat. Who shut it down?" Darren asked. "Not just machines," Lena said. "Some humans too. They wanted peace, but at a cost. They thought we were dangerous." Darren's mind raced. "And you escaped?" "Yes," she said. "I ran away when I was a child. I lost many friends. I changed my name. I tried to live a simple life. And now they want to find you." "Exactly." Darren sat down thinking. He had always seen the world as numbers and power, but Lena's story was different. It was about freedom and survival. About courage. "I'm sorry," he said. "I never knew." Lena smiled faintly. "Few people do." Darren looked at the blue crystals still shining in the vault. "I kept those crystals safe because they meant power. But you mean something." "More." Lena looked up. "What do you mean?" "You showed me trust without asking for reward. You risked your life for something bigger than money. That is what I want to learn." Lena stepped closer. "And I want to help you." Darren smiled for the first time in years. Then we worked together. The tower was quiet once more, but something had changed. Darren gave Lena access to his core data files. She spent hours reading through secrets and plans. She was learning about the world of business and politics, a world she had never cared about before. In return, Lena taught Darren about the resistance, the stories of the human echo children, their fight against control, and their hope for the future. Darren realized how small his world was compared to Lena's. She had faced death and betrayal. He had faced loneliness. Together, they began to plan a new future, one not just built on money or machines, but on trust. Days later, an emergency alert woke Darren. "Unknown ships approaching Mars," the eye said. Lena looked at the screen. "It's them, Black Echo." Darren stood. "We are ready," Lena smiled. "We fight for more than survival now. We fight for freedom." The drones moved like shadows. 4 of them circled the top of the tower, silent, smooth, and fast. Red lights blinked from their metal bodies as they scanned every inch of the walls. They were not there to steal. They were looking for something. Or someone. Inside the tower, Darren stared at Lena. "What do you mean they're here for you?" he asked. Lena stepped forward, her voice calm. "They've been following me for weeks. I thought I had lost them. I was wrong." "Who are they?" "I don't know what they call themselves now. But once, they were part of a group called Black Echo. They don't like free minds. They especially don't like me." Darren didn't understand everything, but he knew one thing: this was serious. "Why are they after you?" he asked. "Because I escaped," she said. "And because I remember things they want erased." Darren nodded slowly. He trusted her now more than any file or camera. "We need to move," he said. In the control room, alerts flashed in red. Upper airlocks disabled, power lines cut. "Outer cameras offline," Darren typed quickly. Are the inner defenses active? Only partial systems online. Main defense I jammed. He looked at Lena. They're blocking my tower's tech. That's what they do, she replied. They break machines first. Then they come in person. 10 minutes later, the attack began. 3 tall figures in black armor dropped from a quiet ship above the tower. They landed like ghosts on the roof. No sound, no light. Only movement. Their faces were covered. Their suits were smooth and sharp, almost robotic. They carried no visible weapons, but their arms had built-in tools that opened doors like keys. They entered the tower from the top. Floor by floor. They moved down. Darren and Lena watched on the last working screen. They're not wasting time, Darren said. Lena didn't answer. She was opening a wall panel. Behind it was a hidden shaft. I found this last week during cleaning, she said. It's a manual tunnel, goes down 6 levels. Darren was surprised. You were mapping my tower? I always map buildings. In case I need to escape. She looked at him. Are you coming or staying? Darren didn't hesitate. I'm coming. They moved down the shaft quickly, while the attackers broke through level by level. Darren and Lena reached the second vault room. This was a fake storage area. Darren had built it years ago to distract intruders. Inside were empty boxes, fake crystals, and old codes. Lena walked to the far wall and pressed a hidden button. A small drawer opened. Inside, it were the real crystals, the ones from the original safe. Lena had moved them earlier that morning. Before the attack began, Darren stared. How did you know? I saw their signal hours ago. I knew they'd come tonight. You saved them, he said softly. I didn't do it for money, she said. I did it because I don't like them winning. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A loud voice came through the floor speakers. Lena Mare, you are marked. You cannot run forever. Lena looked at the speaker and said nothing. Darren looked at her. Do they know where we are? No, but they're close. Then, the ceiling above cracked open. One of the black-armored attackers dropped, down like a shadow. Darren stepped back, but Lena stepped forward. She didn't run. She raised her hands in a strange motion, sharp and fast. The attacker froze for half a second, then Lena moved. Quick like lightning, she grabbed a rod from the wall and struck the attacker's helmet with perfect aim. Sparks flew. The figure stumbled back, then fell to the ground, stunned. Darren stared. You fought like a trained soldier. Lena didn't look at him. I was trained, a long time ago. He finally understood. She was not just a maid. She was part of something lost. Something strong. And now, she was standing between him and danger, not for gold, not for pay, but for something more human. Honor.